Welcome to the Be More You podcast.
We're your hosts, Mon
and Stefan.
And this is a space where we want you to be more like you
and less like everyone else.
Enjoy this episode.
Hey, Hugh.
Alright, so we've got our first official guest on the Be More You podcast. Welcome, Hugh, to our first podcast. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I'm feeling well. I'm excited to be on here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for coming, man. It's good to have you.
It's really funny because this is actually our first time doing one together with a guest. So we're all in the same boat. We're all nervous. It's all good. No one has to stress. These two are freaking out. They are freaking out. So I'll start off with the first question. How about that?
Yep.
Let's start with that.
Okay.
So Hugh, tell us a bit about what you do right now in terms of work, hobbies. Just tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, so I am self-employed. My business is called Breath of Heart, and I teach Yin Yoga and meditation. The main business that I do is run my own Yin Yoga teacher training courses. In Victoria and also interstate.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that for?
My business now is about 13 years.
Wow.
Yep. So I've been teaching for a while now.
He's very good at what he does. I actually did his course, how long ago? Like 3 months ago?
3 months ago.
3 months ago.
Yeah.
And then you've been mentoring me as well the whole time through. So been very good. The best possible support going into teaching yin and meditation, and it's been epic, man.
It's an honor.
Really cool. Yeah.
What is it that you love about teaching in particular?
I think helping people to understand themselves a lot deeper, and to provide people tools to understand themselves and to live in the present moment.
Yep.
Tools for healing, mental health. Yep.
And is that from your own personal experiences? Why is it that you got into Yin Yoga in particular?
Yeah, it's for my mental health that I got into yoga and meditation. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you had a really because you studied under, oh my God, I always go to say Bear Grylls. But it's Paul.
Paul Grilly, yeah.
Paul Grilly.
Bear Grylls.
So I always go to say, it's really embarrassing. Because of Bear Grylls, obviously.
Yeah.
But Paul Grilly, he who essentially invented Yin, right? Developed Yin. But you did a lot of training under him, and you've so your whole story with Yin Yoga was really, I had no idea until we did the training together just how in depth your knowledge and experience has been throughout that whole industry. So you've been teaching yoga for a long time, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a tool for my healing as well.
Yeah.
So because you practice what you teach.
Yes.
Yeah. You learn so much from teaching.
And when was the moment that you started using yoga and meditation specifically as a tool? When was the moment where you were just like, this is really good for my mental health and I can feel the changes?
I would say 20 years ago.
Wow.
When I was 26 years old.
Yeah.
I suffered I still suffer from depression and anxiety.
Yep.
Since I was 18, 19.
Yes. Yep.
And I came to yoga and meditation to heal, or find tools for healing for my mental health. And I was feeling actually quite suicidal. I had suicidal thoughts, and I was really struggling. So I started going to a counselor who taught me meditation. So we would talk about the issues, and then she'd get me to go home and meditate as my homework. And then would meet again to talk about what happened in the meditation, and the meditation practice helped me to change my relationship to my thought patterns.
Yes.
And so then it started growing into daily practice of meditation and yoga. now teaching it.
Yeah, and because you've got a really strong daily practice, don't you? It's like
every day,
every single day, and because something that I do a lot myself, and I wonder this with you, is like, what's the framework for that? Do you just do the same meditation for a week or for a couple of weeks, or is it just you just wake up and what you feel on the day? Like, what does your meditation practice look like?
So I wake up and meditate straight away.
Yes.
For about 45 minutes.
Yep.
45 minutes.
45 minutes.
And is it a good day every day? Or do you find like there are some days where you're like, I'm just pushing through this 45 minutes now?
Some days I struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm going through a depression episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to be present because meditation is about practicing being present.
Yes.
And when I'm having a depression episode, it's a real struggle. So sometimes I cut it short if I'm really struggling to about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason why I ask that is because sometimes I find when I'm meditating, it's like the ego kind of gets in the way. And if I've been doing, say, 15 minutes every day, and then there's a day where I'm really struggling, like it's just not working, but I'm forcing it, and I just find I'm just getting angry.
Yep.
And sometimes I think it's just better to stop, like cut it, like you said, cut it short, and just do what you can with what you have, because not every day is the same. Not every day you feel 100%. Some days you feel 50%. But I think sometimes when people, I know it was my experience when I got into meditation, there was a certain expectation I put on myself because everybody that I spoke to was like, just try meditating, it's great. But I was like, at the beginning it wasn't great because I didn't understand what meditation was, like what was the purpose of it. And so I think there's this really big if you're new to meditating, like that expectation, it's got to go, like that ego has to get dropped because it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I was really curious, because you do a lot of mindfulness-based meditation.
Mindfulness-based.
Yes.
Yep. There's a lot of misconception about meditation. A lot of people think it's about sitting down and making yourself feel at peace all the time.
Yes.
But that doesn't always happen.
Yes. Yeah.
You get emotions like anger, frustration, depression.
Yeah.
And that can come up. And that's part of the meditation. Being aware of your emotions and how you are responding to them.
Yeah.
That's a big lesson that I learned myself. Recently, I have practiced forgiving myself.
Yes.
Forgiving my dad for childhood violence.
Yes. Okay.
And that completely changed my healing.
Wow.
So did that help you move through everything that was happening? And has that been, what kind of brought that on to, so what happened when you were a child?
So
actually?
I was abused by my father, not physically, but verbally.
Yes. Yeah.
He had a really bad temper.
Yeah.
So throughout my childhood and teenagehood, a lot of yelling, a lot of anger, explosive anger towards me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where the depression and anxiety started when I was 18, 19. My dad passed away very suddenly in an accident when I was 19.
Okay.
And that's pretty much where the depression started. And I hadn't made peace with Dad's abuse and his death.
Yeah.
So recently I've been practicing forgiveness, forgiving Dad, forgiving myself, and I haven't had depression or anxiety since.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that's, I think, 2 months ago.
Yeah. And what did you know about because did you know about that forgiveness practice as something you wanted to lead into, or how did that even come up?
So I saw a kinesiologist that you recommended.
So
Stacey.
shout out to
Stacey Arneo. God damn.
Yeah, she helped support me to finally forgive Dad and finally forgive myself.
Beautiful.
But forgiving myself is the most important because I've got to live with myself.
Of course. Absolutely.
And it's so important to forgive yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
For the guilt, for the resentment that I was carrying throughout my life.
Yes.
So yeah, big breakthrough the last 2 months.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's massive.
That is huge. When you said about your dad passing away at 19, that was literally the first thing I thought. I was like, God, that would have been so hard to not get the opportunity to work through that with him, you know? And then, yeah, of course that would stay with you for a long time. So the fact that you're able to have somebody to help you move through that now, that's incredible. And what was the experience like with Stacey? I get really excited because I've seen Stacey for coming on 6 years now, and she changed my life over and over again. And when you saw her, it was just, I was so happy because it was the first time I had somebody close to me to actually be able to, that had, obviously we don't have the exact same experiences, nobody does, but I had somebody that I could actually talk to about it and be like, oh my God, you saw it too. Like, what was your experience? You know?
My experience was mind-blowing, I'd say. She's really gifted at knowing what's going on and what you have to work through.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The areas that you need to work through. So she works with me through a lot of past traumas and practices to heal that trauma.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And were you really surprised in the session with her when... Because I've been to see her sometimes and I'm like, Stacey,
Yep.
I know exactly what's going on. And she's like, Stefan, you have no idea. But it was, she doesn't say it like that, but it's throughout the conversation of talking through the things that I think is going on in my life, I realized that that's maybe like 5 layers above what's really happening. So did you find that throughout the sessions where you, did you have those moments of like, oh, I didn't even realize that's what I was still holding on to, or did it feel clear to you at the time?
I actually didn't know I was holding on to so much resentment.
Yes.
For myself and my dad.
Yep.
For the violence.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I hadn't forgiven him.
Yep.
I'm 46 years old. I can't believe I was carrying it for so long.
Yeah.
And now I just feel really free.
Yeah. Absolutely. I couldn't. Yeah. I could imagine. I felt. Definitely not the same thing. I don't know what that would feel like, but that feeling of release and letting go of... Because I was going to say to you, like with Yin Yoga and traditional Chinese medicine and all the things that, and the meridian lines and the energy, all the energy lines and everything, we talk about it in the course of storing emotions or past traumas in your body.
Yep.
So that's why I was led. That's why I fell in love with Yin, because I'd had so much experience with kinesiology, and then I started doing this thing, and Lucy, her name was, used to teach to the meridian lines and traditional Chinese medicine a lot, and I fell in love with it because I was like, I've experienced this in my own body, I understand it. So I know that you've said in the past about, and you taught it in your course about moving through those traumas with Yin Yoga.
Yep.
What has been your experience with that in Yin Yoga, and did it feel similar, or did it feel like the same type of release with kinesiology, or just, I suppose, traditional Chinese medicine and those thoughts of thinking just in general? Like, it all seems to tie together quite a lot, and
it's a vehicle for healing, I'd say. So for the listeners out there who don't know what Yin Yoga is, basically it's a restorative style yoga where you're in the poses for 5 to 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're sitting in the postures for that length of time, stuff can come up. Because we store a lot of stuff in the body, and it's not unusual to have an emotional release.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had that. I've had like things pop up from the past thoughts, past emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And those emotions and thoughts, trauma, will only come up if you're ready to deal with them.
Yes.
That's how I've found it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's so true, because I had an experience not that long ago in your Yin class. Do you remember that day?
I just looked at you when you said about
so
things going
I'd
up.
experienced something that I'd suppressed actually it's come out, like I can talk about it now. So 3 years ago I was sexually abused, and when it happened, I remember so clearly saying to myself this never happened. From this day forward, you're gonna not think about this. Like, it's done. Like, just hide it away. And then I did a breathwork workshop where it fully just came out. Like, my body just completely took over, and it was like convulsing. I literally looked like I was possessed. And then the day after, I was like, I got to get out of my head. Like, I'm too in my head. Every time I close my eyes, I'm being taken back there. So I went to go and do yin, because I was like, this is great. I'm going to go relax. I'm going to go chill. And I walked in and I was like, okay. But then we moved, I can't remember what we moved into. It was literally just moving to the side and like turning to the side to turn over. And the second my body went into that position, it just felt like all this emotional release just happened again. And I started crying in the class.
Wow.
I was like, I can't look at the guy next to me because he's going to be like, why is she tearing up?
But did you think your body was ready for it?
100%. It was like, you've put this off for so long. And the crazy thing for me was, up until that point, I had gotten myself physically really fit as well.
Yeah.
Like, I was in the best shape I'd ever been in my life. And when I started the whole process at the start of the year, I was kind of like, I don't know why I've just flicked this switch so quickly. Like, I'm so determined. I'm so on focus. And sitting here now talking about it, it almost feels like I was preparing myself to deal with it fully.
Yeah.
And it's like straight on, no going around, no avoiding, no nothing. And I think that's why now I actually feel like I am dealing with it a lot better than I would have if I hadn't made those changes. And same thing, implemented like yoga and yin as a daily practice as well.
Because the yin practice is so withdrawing of your senses inwards.
Yeah.
Whereas in society, you know, we're always outwards.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we don't spend a lot of time going inwards and listening to the body and the heart. And that's so the yin practice and meditation is a vehicle for healing, because it gets us to go inwards and look at our stuff, no matter how confronting it is.
Yeah.
We need to look at our stuff for healing. And I do recommend to the listeners out there, if you are struggling with stuff coming up, like past traumas, I do recommend getting support professionally.
Yep.
Whether it's a counselor, a kinesiologist, someone professional.
Yep.
I would say.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that everybody should have somebody to talk to.
Yep.
That is separate from their close circles. It's just too valuable to not have that.
Yep.
Because having that impartial, and like, it doesn't matter if it's impartial or not, having that professional point of view with somebody with these tools that they live and breathe.
Correct.
To be able to help you move through it.
Yeah.
It's a game changer, I think, for everyone.
Yeah. Could not agree more.
And so I've been thinking about this a lot lately, Hugh. Look, we were just talking about it out there before. Surfing.
Oh, yeah.
You love
being in the ocean. Yes.
Being in the ocean. You love nature, running. Like, tell me about how did that come about, and why do you love it so much?
Just being out in nature to me is so healing.
Yeah.
Just because we are nature. We are made of nature.
Yes.
We are made of the 5 elements in nature.
Yeah.
And it just gives me a different perspective.
Yeah.
You know, when you're stuck inside and you're in your head, sometimes you need to get out and breathe that fresh air, just connect with the bush or the ocean. It's really hard to describe. It just gives me a sense of peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it more that, I suppose that it's more that nature than, because surfing, I've always been so interested in surfing. I found out the other day that I just said to Hugh before, I'm really afraid of sharks, and I didn't even know it.
I think feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yes, that's literally tattooed on my arm.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Oh, I just didn't know. So me and my housemate were standing in the kitchen, and I said, I really want to. So we're talking about the van and building out the van, and I was like, I really want to surf this year. I'm like,
do it.
I'm just afraid of it. She's like, what is it? The water? And I was like, no. She's like, is it the sharks? And my whole body just like went in, and I was like, oh my God, I'm afraid of them. And I didn't even know. And it was really funny because my brother came around the next day, and I was like, I'm going to try and get a surfboard. I'm like, but man, I just worked out that I'm really afraid of sharks. And he's like, so am I. He's like, I'm up to my hip in the water. And he's like, I'm looking for him. I was like, what did mum and dad do? But I'm so interested in surfing because, like, for that flow state reason. Like, I love skateboarding. I love music for that exact same reason. So it's like, is that a big part of why you go back? Like that moving meditation whilst you're surfing?
Moving meditation, just being at one with the ocean, being at one with nature.
Yeah.
There's so many medicinal properties in ocean water.
Yep.
Yeah, that it just cleanses you, actually gives you back a lot of energy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because the ocean is just full of energy. It's high concentration of energy in the bush, in the ocean. If you feel depleted, go into nature because it will just fill you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More time in Torquay for me,
I literally.
think.
I've got a question for you.
Sure.
What's something that inspires you? Like with what you do, is it like you live and you breathe yin, but is there something that outside of yin that really inspires you, just in general?
We just talked about it just now. Nature. Yeah, just being out in nature, whether it's the ocean or the bush.
Yeah.
It just gives me a sense of peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm going through confusion, agitation, anxiety, just being in nature and breathing that fresh air gives me new life. Yeah. It's really hard to describe. It's kind of like...
I think it's because it's a feeling.
It's a feeling state. It's a feeling state.
Something that needs to have words or labels attached to it. It's like you actually have to just go and experience it for yourself because everybody's going to have their own different experience.
Yeah.
You know, me walking in the bush could be completely different to how you experience that. Or me swimming in the ocean.
Yeah.
You are afraid of sharks at the moment, so you probably don't swim in the ocean.
It's just surfacing. I swim in the ocean a lot. This is the thing. This is one of my favourite places to be.
Well, in Japan, there's a thing called forest bathing.
Yes.
Oh, I've heard that.
Where they go to the forest and they just absorb all the energy from the forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do because your trainer Jack White. Is that his name? Yes.
Yeah, my personal trainer.
Yeah. So I've noticed him post that before, being like, "Hey, I'm going forest bathing this weekend.
Yeah.
Who wants to come?" And I'm like, I remember I started seeing it a little bit at the same time. So do you ever go out with other people and do that?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, with my wife. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep. If I'm not surfing, I'm running in the bush.
Yeah.
In the trail.
Amazing.
Yep. Yep. I just have to be in nature to feel me.
Yeah.
To be more me.
Yes.
To be more me and to be present. It helps me to be present.
Yeah.
Because you can just sit at home and repeat all your problems to yourself over and over and dwell on all that heaviness that you feel. When I just go out in nature, it helps me to process and move. When you move your body, your body and mind helps to process all the stuff you're going through.
Yes.
If you ever tried movement on a regular basis, things get processed.
100%.
Compared to just sitting down and
dwelling
on all your problems.
I couldn't agree more. If I don't move my body, there's a few things that if I don't do it, I'm not the same Stefan. Definitely not. And do you apply? Because I know you do. Listen to me. I keep saying I know you do. I know a lot about you, Hugh. No, but I know because you do a lot of other strength training as well to support the yin and to support surfing.
Yes.
Do you apply that same type of mindfulness with those movements as well? Like when you're lifting weights, is it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I make everything a meditation.
Yeah.
So if I don't meditate in the morning and the surf's really good, I just go out and surf and make that my meditation.
Amazing.
Running is a meditation. Lifting weights is a meditation. Anything that you practice bringing your mind into the present moment is meditation.
Yes.
So it doesn't have to be seated.
Yes.
It can be anything that brings your awareness into the present moment.
I think that's what people, or I know it's something that I didn't understand when I first started meditating, because I remember there was a yoga instructor that once said you can meditate while you're at the lights, at the traffic lights. And I was like, no, you can't. What do you mean? She was like, just be present. Your mind can drift and get angry at the car in front of you because they're not going fast enough or this. It's just literally bringing yourself to the moment. Because there's so many times that I'm driving and then I forget I'm driving and I'm like, where did my thoughts just go? Where have I been? Forgetting that I'm driving. And so when she said that, I was like, I don't get it. But it's simple. It's that. It's honing in and just being here instead of too far over there or way back over there.
Yes, absolutely. I'm like obsessed with what you just said, and
what's that?
With applying it to every part of your life.
Yes.
Because I think that's one of the things that makes meditation so intimidating for people, because they're like, I have to do X, Y, and Z, and I have to do it every day, and I've got to work it out. When in reality, I think a lot of people are already meditating and they don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Like it might be surfing. It might be, I know people that just love cooking, and it's like they're in their zone while they're cooking. It's like, hey, you meditate every morning and every night. You just don't even know it. You know, so I think that perspective is so important, because it breaks down the barriers between something that can seem super intimidating for people, and it suddenly makes it really approachable.
Yeah.
And it's easy for them to apply, and then they can actually, maybe I do want to do a seated meditation today. Maybe there is something that I enjoy in this. You know, maybe I can feel the value in it a little bit easier because I already feel the value in these other moving meditations that I do.
It really has helped me to heal.
Yes.
Because I am a dweller. I tend to dwell in the past. That's where the depression comes in.
Yep.
And when I noticed myself meditating, thinking of the past, that past thought came up like 50,000 times. Okay, I'm getting caught up in the past. What can I do about it?
Yep.
And that's been a tool. When I have anxiety, I'm thinking about the future too much and freaking out about what's going to happen in the future. And I've had those same freaking out thoughts for about 50,000 times. And I go, okay, I'm freaking out about the future. What can I do about it now?
Yeah.
Or I'm having this emotion, anger, for example, and I'm holding on to the anger. Okay, what can I do about the anger now? How can I process it in a healthy way?
Yes.
So that's been a big breakthrough with my meditation is, okay, and what's happening now? Why am I holding on to those thoughts of the past? Why am I holding those thoughts of the future?
Yeah.
Why am I clinging on to this emotion that I'm having?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not always pleasant. I have to say to the listeners out there, meditation is not always pleasant. It's like medicine. You just take it.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not a pleasant pill to swallow.
Yeah. No, I get really frustrated sometimes when I'm meditating.
Especially when your stuff comes up and you think, I've dealt with that past trauma. Why is it coming up again?
Yeah.
You know? That's how I've been frustrated. And what I've worked through is, okay, what am I going to do about it now? How am I going to heal that trauma now?
Yep.
Just bringing yourself into the present moment. What can you do about it now?
I think that's the thing. It's a practice.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not, and that's what people forget. It's like, but I've meditated for 4 months. My shit should be cleared now. It's like, 4 months, you've still got another 70 years to go. So you haven't cleared anything.
It's like an onion. You know, have you ever peeled an onion? You peel one layer.
And you cry.
And you think, there's another part of me that needs healing.
Yeah.
So you heal that. You peel another layer. There's another part of me that needs healing. Healing is a constant flow. 100%. It's not an event that happens once.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a process.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to actually enjoy the process of healing. You know? It doesn't always have to be intimidating. Sometimes you got to just laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Or you'll cry. So you better just laughing.
And then sometimes you get the opportunity to do both, and that's kind of pretty too.
It's like,
which is beautiful.
You cry, you laugh, say, that trauma came up again. What am I going to do about it now? And,
yeah.
But the way I always view stuff like that is like that suffering that the suffering that we tend to sit in, it's like just this loop, and we forget that at any point we can exit the loop. We've got to process the pain 100%, but you don't actually need to sit in the suffering. It's good to acknowledge that, right now this really sucks. This really, really sucks. But past experience, I know for me, has always taught me you'll be okay. You'll work through it and you'll be okay. In fact, you'll be better than okay, because what you've been given now is the opportunity to learn something about yourself.
Yeah.
And that is growth. Growth happens outside the comfort zone. Nothing happens when you're comfortable. When you're sitting pretty being like, this is all sweet. by God, have I been in my discomfort zone this past week. I literally felt like my world fell apart in the last week, but at the same time, sitting in it and really sitting in it, being like, this is teaching me something. I can't see it right now, but it's going to make sense to me, like, in the near future, and I'll look back on this event or this circumstance or obstacle, whatever you want to call it, and be like, oh, that's why that had to happen.
Yeah.
Because life's happening for us. It's not happening to us. And I think shifting that perspective and going, this is going to serve a greater purpose. I just have to move through it because I can't go around it.
Yeah.
If I go around it, it's going to find me again and just be like, hey, you haven't dealt with me. Hello, hello.
So it's that saying of what you resist persists.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah, and you do need someone professional to help you through it.
Yeah.
Because there are times when I played the victim,
Mm-hmm.
you know, of my trauma, and I just felt sorry for myself all the time. And I told friends and people close to me, I felt sorry for myself like all the time. And there's one friend that said, I won't be a stand for that. I don't want you to keep creating that pity party.
Yeah.
And
that's really powerful to have somebody in your life actually pull you out of that wheel of suffering, to be like, do you know what? You want to change, you're the only person that can actually make that change happen. Because I can't do it for you. A professional can help you to a certain point, but a person who doesn't want to change is not going to change.
We have to be accountable for our healing.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember Mon said, you know, trauma happens. It's not our fault, but healing is our responsibility.
Yeah. And do you know what I read the other day? Responsibility is the ability to respond to a situation from a place of love and not fear.
Yeah.
Is that the book that you posted the thing of? That was a fantastic...
It's a book you gave me.
Is it?
Yeah.
Seed of the Soul? Yeah. God, that was a very good...
Yeah. But it is, because that's... and I know... I say that comfortably because I played victim in my life many a times. And again, everybody around me was like, oh, it's okay. Like, you've just had this hard time. No one actually pulled me up on my stuff to be like, hey, if you actually want to get out of this hole that you've actually dug yourself, because, you know, yes, external things can happen to us and whatever, but it gets to a point where you've got the choice to decide what happens. Is this thing going to define you for the rest of your life? Or are you going to define it? Because if you define it, it's you actually grabbing it, taking responsibility and being like, you don't have a hold on me anymore.
Yeah.
And that sense of attachment and letting go, for me, meditation has helped that.
Yeah.
Because for me, meditation has helped me create that space and that gap where I can actually sit in and then just observe it all and be like, that's not serving me anymore. Get rid of it. Or that thing from past experience taught me, don't do that because it didn't work out last time. So that little gap that we can sit in when you meditate and you just allow yourself that breathing room to just be like, I got this. Like, I've either been here before and this is what past experiences taught me, or I'm going to try it this way and see what happens. But I think, especially in the day and age that we live in now, everything's just reactive. Like, everything is so fast-paced in our lives that we don't stop and just take a breath.
Yeah. And if you're not aware, if you don't meditate, you won't be aware of your stuff coming up.
Yeah.
And you'll always be reacting.
100%.
Yeah, you end up being very reactive.
Yeah.
I'm like that if I... Coffee.
Or if he hasn't eaten. I've experienced that as well.
At least you are aware of your reactions.
Yeah, but it was funny because, I also think there's so many things in this day and age that cause that reactivity anyway. So it's like, give yourself a fighting chance.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's okay to love your coffee. It's okay to, like, be online and do whatever it is you need to do, but you've got so much information coming at you at once. There's so many advertisements on your phone. Everybody's fighting for your attention. Then you get over caffeinated, and then I did it to Mum like a month ago. I had this little stint where I started drinking coffee again. I hadn't drank coffee for years. I was hanging out with Mon too much, actually.
Okay, let's play Mon.
Never. It was all me. I was like a little kid. I was like, I'll have one. I know that'll make me feel good. I remember I was talking to Mum. I got really annoyed about something, and I called her back and I was like, Mum, I'm really sorry. I'm very reactive at the moment. Caffeine is not helping me. But it's like noticing, I don't think I would have noticed that if I didn't have a solid meditation practice. You know, I don't think I would have the sight to be able to go, oh, these other factors are actually what's making me a little bit more outside of myself right now. Otherwise, I would just be going, oh, well, she shouldn't have said that to me.
Yeah.
Or it's just because I'm having a busy day. Or I've got so much on this week that I don't even know where I am right now. Too bad, you know? But being able to actually see, oh, it's one of these 1,000 things that's coming into my view at the moment that might be that little tip over the edge. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm definitely in the corner for meditation.
Yeah. Well, that's the key to meditation, is to bring it into your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's not useful if you're not bringing meditation into your daily life and incorporating what you learn. Yeah. In your meditation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, when we were discussing this whole like Be More You thing, and we were talking about like what is it that we want to cover, and we said like there's going to be the 3 pillars. It's going to come from experience, our own personal experiences, and then there's going to be mindfulness and mindset. And the equation that I have in my head, it was like, in order for you to shift your mindset, you need to be mindful of the things that you do and why you do them. Because if you're unaware of why you do what you do, you can't tell me why I do what I do. You can't tell me. Only I can do that. And it all stems from within. But I think like COVID's a really good example of like how it's forced a lot of people to go inward and have to sit with themselves and be like, when you've had all these external factors taken away from you, like jobs, security, friends, family, a lot of people have to sit with themselves and be like, okay, who am I when I don't have these things in my life?
Yes.
But
totally.
But then there's people that will just distract themselves with something else new and shiny and be like, no, I don't have time to worry about all my inner turmoil and what's going on internally. I'll do this, I'll do that. And it's like, the universe is actually giving you an opportunity to like deep dive and be like, all right, your job is not secure. Like, you're not your job though.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
That's terrifying. That is utterly terrifying because it forces honesty and truth. Getting to your truth, and that's just too scary for people to like tap into sometimes. It was for me for a really long time.
It's like the thing that's really good to you, you're like, I'm going to avoid that for a little bit longer. Yeah. Because
it's uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable.
Who wants to deal with their shit? No one. I'd rather just blame you. Like, it's easy.
Yeah. Your stuff can catch up with you because it can manifest in your body in illness.
Yeah.
Like, I've had digestive issues, and that is triggered by anxiety.
Yes. Same.
Yeah. You as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Very much so.
Jaw pain. I've got quite clicky jaws.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's anxiety as well, and holding on to trauma or anxiety. So your body will tell you that you've been holding on to stuff.
Yeah.
Will manifest in one way or the other.
But then what do? We just caffeinate. We eat more poorly. We don't sleep. We like find all these other quick fixes, and we live in such a quick fix society. Like if you order something from Amazon, it'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
We treat ourselves like Amazon delivery packages. It's like, sweetheart, you're not an Amazon delivery package. You actually have to work through your shit. There's a package that you have to unfold and like actually get to the bottom to. But that quick fix society, it's like, oh, a pill will make it better. Like a tablet will make it better. And in some instances, it might. It really might. But I just think we're just so quick. Like if I have a headache, the first thing my mum will say will be like, oh, go take a Panadol.
Symptom management, right?
It's not. No, I haven't drank enough water. I know that about myself. Drink more water and the headache will go away.
Yes.
But it's just so conditioned in us to just be like, what's the quick and easy fix right now? Because I got to move and I got to get on with my life.
Yes.
It's why we're the burnout generation.
Yeah, and when people break down, that's when they'll really deal with their healing.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it takes a breakdown to break through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, it does. It did for me.
Yeah, I've had many breakdowns
with
my mental health, and that forces you to heal, to find ways to heal. And I've got different tools for healing, like meditation, nature. What else?
Well, I was going to ask you about
Yin Yoga,
traditional Chinese. You have a
Chinese medicine. Yep.
What do you go and see your Chinese medicine doctor about most? Like,
anxiety.
Yep.
Digestive issues.
Yep.
depression.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's for everything. And what's like... It's like you said before about the jaw and about the stomach being... Like, they're obviously our symptoms for what we're holding within the body or for what we're holding underneath. Was Chinese medicine... Because I'm so interested with Chinese medicine because it seems to be this common denominator with so many different things that I love in my life. And it's something that I've never actually gone to myself. I've never gone and seen a Chinese medicine doctor.
Chinese medicine treats the person.
Yes,
not the symptom.
Yes, of course.
Chinese medicine looks at the root cause of what's going on.
Amazing. Yeah.
When I go to my Chinese medicine doctor, it's meditation as well. We go through mindfulness meditation, just see what's going on in the body and also the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she does the acupuncture.
Amazing.
So it's quite holistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's what I found with Stacey over the years as well. It's like if I get down the right side of my neck, it gets really tight. You know how if you ever get like a stiff neck and you can't turn while you're driving, you can't look to the side. If I don't feel like I am expressing myself creatively, it happens time and time again. If I don't write, if I don't sing, if I'm not doing something creative, that whole side of my neck becomes so stiff I can't even move it. I remember the first time it got released through a session with Stacey and talking. It was the band that I was in at the time. I didn't feel like I was being heard. I didn't feel like I was expressing myself creatively the way that I should be, and I fully couldn't move my neck side to side. But released within that session with her, I remember a day, 2 days later, you know how she does the thing to work out how many days it would take. By that time, completely gone, and I felt that come on and corrected it myself through my own practices, which is like singing or writing music or even writing class plans with yoga. Like that's a very creative outlet. But same deal with my throat and feeling heard and all that kind of stuff. I used to get throat infections before every show that we played. It was insane how much I did. And it wasn't until I started really working with Stacey and working out that I don't feel heard. I've had troubles expressing myself my whole life, which is extremely ironic considering I'm a singer. But I noticed that because that holistic approach, and I don't think majority of people definitely don't know about that either, about having this holistic approach to your health and wellness. It all falls under the symptom management category of going to see a doctor and getting prescribed something that might deal with the stomach ache or might deal with the jaw, but you don't get into everything beneath it. So it's like, what I wanted to ask you, what's been the main things, and like as far as like physical ailments go, has there been many things with like the Chinese medicine doctor or kinesiologist or things that you've noticed that with in yourself as well?
I think the same thing that keeps coming up for me is childhood trauma.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that keeps coming up.
Yep.
Through anxiety, through the stomach issues, digestive issues.
Manifest in the body.
Yeah. But less and less now because I've been practicing the forgiveness.
Yes.
In my healing.
Yep.
Yeah. The body stores a lot of memories. Have you ever heard of cellular memory?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Where our cells store memories from the past.
Yeah.
Whether it's trauma or something intense that's happened to you. Mm-hmm. It gets stored in the body, and it stays there if you haven't dealt with it. Mm-hmm.
Is that the 7-year cycle of cellular memory?
Yeah,
is that what it is?
Yeah,
every 7 years, if you actually have worked through it, your cells will reprogram themselves, and I don't know if it don't quote me, I don't know. Don't quote me. if it recreates or like reforms the DNA and RNA. And so that is that whole when you cut generational lines and deal with your inner child and all that trauma that you've experienced, dealing with that actually every 7 years, it like reprograms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to Ariel was telling me about this with drug use.
Yeah.
Because I haven't taken. I was 6 months last week. So thank you, man. I'm really happy. But yeah, and it's like a big thing because a big part of this for me is I have small goals to reach, but I am really careful with myself because I'm also one to be like, I can see the finish line.
Yeah.
I'm just going to hold off until then, and then it's a blowout again. But somebody was saying, it must have been the same thing. It's 7 years, because she was saying that she'd had her own troubles with her own substance abuse, and she got past that 7-year gap, and that's why she was so upset that she did it again.
Yeah. After
the 7 years. I didn't have anything else. I remember that's what she told me.
7 years, because I think that's also, it's got like 7-year cycles are a thing with like planets and stuff as well. It's all like, it's all got like this connection. Again, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that the cellular memory, and that being stored, you actually can reprogram it if you do the work, if you're aware, if you're actually persistent and consistent in doing that work, because there's no quick fix to solve that.
No.
Absolutely not.
No. Not at all. God damn. All right. 7 years. Here we go, guys.
So actually, one question I have is like, so you're saying that you're doing forgiveness meditation. Is it you forgiving that hurt inner child in you, or is it you forgiving yourself now as an adult at 46? Did you say you're 46? Yeah. Is it you kind of looking back at your childhood trauma through the lens of childlike eyes or adult eyes?
I think both.
Both?
Yeah, both.
Because I always find it really interesting when we look back at our childhood. A lot of the time we look back through adult eyes, and with adult eyes we're thinking logically, like, oh, my dad yelled at me because I didn't pay attention here. But as a child, experiencing that as a child where you don't know what you know as an adult, it's like, I'm the reason they're yelling, but really dad's just yelling because he's frustrated and had a bad day at work. But we internalize that as a child, being like, dad doesn't love me, I'm the problem. And we hold that, and we take that through our childhood and teenagehood and adulthood, and we've got this lack of love because maybe this one incident when dad came home frustrated and yelled at us, or mum, or whatever. But it's always interesting when I look back at my childhood and certain things, I have to make sure that I'm listening to that inner child in me to be like, how did you feel when that happened? Not me as a 26-year-old, like, how did that kid in me feel? I felt unsafe.
Yeah.
And that's what I carry through. My lack of security as an adult comes from feeling unsafe and insecure as a child.
I think I've had flashbacks of my childhood and the trauma, and healing those past traumas in adulthood. Speaking to my inner child, like you said, has been really healing for me.
Yeah. I think it's like some of the most powerful work you can do. Because I think we really do demonize parts of ourselves at any age. It doesn't have to be child, it could be in your teens and stuff. We demonize them as this like separate entity that's like evil and like, no, I'm not that anymore. But it's like that part of you is actually what's enabled you to be here today. Forgive them, say thank you, be there for them, and cherish them because they made it through for you to be here today.
I think the biggest breakthrough is being kind and compassionate to myself. And speak to that inner child and give that inner child kindness and love and unconditional love and compassion.
And it's learning how to reparent the child in you. You have to become, as an adult, the parent that you needed as a kid. To be like, you're safe, you're okay, we're safe, we're okay, you're brave.
I mean, it was great when we were here not long ago. I watched a bunch of videos of myself as a kid, and like, I just told myself that, because when I was 15 they said, oh, you've got anxiety disorder, you've been like this forever, like you need to change X, Y, and Z about yourself. I just, from that moment forward, put everything before that, I was like, I must have been a really anxious kid. Like I was, and I fully believed it. And then I watched these videos back the other week, and I was like, I started crying, and Mum was like, oh my God. And I was just like, I just told myself, I forgot how happy-go-lucky of a child I was.
But that's the thing, like, you were looking back at that through logical eyes.
A
professional told me. You were 30-year-old Stefan was looking at that kid being like, no, you were an anxious child. That's why you ran away. When really it was like, nah, that's...
But that was the experience watching the videos, because I was watching it through the child's eyes. Fuck, it was sad. Oh my God. Hugh, I have to ask, because being in the yoga and this wellness industry as a male, and you have been for such a long time,
Yes.
you would have seen quite, I mean, I'm just astounded how many men or male yoga teachers there are in Geelong and the surf goes. But over your career, I mean, you would have seen, what's it been like seeing men come and, because it's still substantially female dominated.
Yep.
And was that part of your reasoning to get into the industry? Did you want to show more men this? Because I mean, that was for me with Pilates. I was like, there aren't any guys in here. I think this would be this environment would be really beneficial for you guys. This type of healing would be really beneficial for you guys. Has that been any sort of motivating factor, and what have you noticed on that side? Because I could imagine there'd be guys listening to this. I get guys messaging me saying, I'd love to come in, I just don't know how, you know? And is there anything that you would say to them, or what has your experience been with that?
I think men's mental health has been suffering for a long time in this country.
Yeah.
The suicide rates for men is very high, too high.
Yep.
And I think men practicing self-awareness is going to really help.
Yes.
Yeah, really help men to be aware of what they're feeling and to be able to express in a healthy way and talk about what they're feeling.
Yeah.
Which is really hard for men in our day and age, surprisingly.
Yeah.
To talk about their feelings and emotions. And I think yoga can be a gateway because it teaches men, it teaches everyone, men and females, to be self-aware.
Yeah.
Self-awareness is huge.
And I guess it requires like leaving the ego at the door.
Yeah.
You can't bring it into the studio on the mat.
No.
It doesn't exist.
You can't muscle your way through it.
No.
No. Yeah. And perhaps being a male yoga teacher, men find it less intimidating.
Yeah.
Because I'm a male yoga teacher.
Definitely. Yeah.
There has been a huge growth explosion actually in more males coming to yoga.
Yeah. What was that night at Wonder? It was like, how many guys did you have in your class?
I think there was about 12 guys and about 15 women.
God, that's like unheard of.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. I remember you messaged me.
Yeah. I was really surprised.
And what would you, like for somebody that's looking to, like, as far as cultivating that self-awareness, because like you've been saying, there's so many different tools, like if they wanted to dip their toe into the water of meditation or anything like that, what would be your recommendation as like the first thing to try?
I think Yin Yoga is very user-friendly.
Yes.
Yeah. User-friendly, that's a good way to put it.
Because we've got props, we've got bolsters, we've got blocks.
Yeah.
You know, if you're really super stiff, there's support there for you. There's blocks and bolsters. It's really non-intimidating. We usually dim the lights.
Yes.
So no one can see you. So it's a great vehicle.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah.
Going to Yin Yoga.
And you sort of get a little bit of everything too. You really sit with yourself. You feel those emotions come up because you're in the poses for such a long time. And you're getting so deep into the tissues. Yeah. And you teach meditation. I do as well. Meditation throughout the whole class.
Correct.
I think that's so. I just think it's such an incredible way to feel into. I find it so applicable to add that into other moving meditations and other things, because you get this opportunity to just sit with yourself for these long periods of time. And the hour, like, because you move into different shapes, it doesn't even feel like you're meditating. It doesn't. And then it sort of breaks down the barriers of, I can do it while I'm lifting weights now. I can do it while I'm driving my car, or while I'm cooking, or while I'm mowing the lawns. Suddenly you can really notice all those subtleties that actually aren't that subtle. They're really, really loud when you just know what to look for. So
definitely user friendly.
It's so
for everyone.
Dude, you're so right. You can have as many bolsters as you want. I've got this one student that comes down to 0 point. John, his name is. Freaking love John so much. And he actually puts 11 a.m. on a Wednesday. He puts 2 mats together down the front of the class. So, and then he puts a whole blanket over the top, because he's like, do you mind if I do that? I was like, no, man, make yourself comfortable. Then have bolsters around it. So I'm in this like really little space at the front of the room, and he's got like a fort built up just to come to Yin.
Oh,
awesome.
Great.
Man, it's so nice.
That's great. And do men come to that class?
Yeah, he is the only guy that comes to that class. Yeah, at the moment. I do a Friday night every second week, and there was a few guys there the other week. Alex and a few other guys came down.
It does help when more guys come to a Yin Yoga class, because you get other guys that come and see other guys, and then it's non-intimidating because there's other guys in the room.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No, I find that happens definitely at Wonder. There's like crews of guys that come there, but they've also got the most male teachers, I think, as well. There's lots of us teaching there, which is cool. Yeah. But I just find, don't you think Geelong and the Surf Coast, there's so many male yoga teachers down here?
Yeah.
There is, isn't there?
There's a surf culture as well. And Yin Yoga is really great for people who surf, because it stretches those tight areas in the body. And, and meditation and surfing, they go together as well. Yeah. Being that, self-awareness practice.
Definitely.
And for men's mental health, I think meditation and yoga is really necessary.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's an area that I want to work on in the future. Yes. Helping men and their mental health. Yeah. Because it's really something that needs looking at in this country.
Definitely. It's important. I get really passionate about it, I think, just because I was a plumber for such a long time.
Yeah.
And just being on a construction site, like, it is really stressful. It does feel like the end of the world when things don't get done, because people are really aggressive on the other end of it. And then on top of that, you're constantly working so hard with your body that you're storing that frustration in tight muscles. You're like, it's such a physical job that your hips end up being so tight. Your knees get shot, your elbows, your shoulders, everything starts to hurt. It's like, and a lot of the time, those aren't the guys that have an outlet, because you're also kind of taking the piss out of each other all day, which is, there's a fraction of that can be fun, but unfortunately, with the levels of stress that are attached to it, that fun quickly turns into borderline bullying, and then nobody has an outlet for it. So I think
it's important to encourage men to talk to each other about their feelings and emotions. For their mental health, and to support each other.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think we need to see more of that in this country.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Definitely. We'll get there. Get all the guys there.
All the guys coming to yoga.
Yeah, so there's some themes that came out, like forgiveness.
Yeah.
This is great. You can recap it for us. So we're going to do the show notes. And it's like, let's just go to the end. And what do we talk about again?
Being kind, gentle, compassionate to your inner child. And one thing I really want to work on is creating a really caring and kind and compassionate community where we support each other.
Yes.
Openly and honestly.
Yeah.
That's it.
No,
I
beautiful.
think, like, one thing that's really great about just from doing podcasting is, like, learning how to hold space for people. And, like, we've spoken about this before. Sometimes you just need to be heard.
Yeah.
You don't need a solution. You don't need an answer to your problems. Yeah. You can come to that solution and answer in your own time and own space. But I think it's really important, especially in this day and age, like, we don't know how to listen. Like, some of our, like, not everybody, but, like, a majority of people will speak and not be heard because the person on the receiving end is just waiting to answer back, waiting to share their story. And, sometimes it's a matter of trying to bond with a person through, I've experienced that too. But what I find, like, with this is, like, you learn to hold space for people to just create that safe and open, honest space for people to be like, no, I can hear you. I see you. Like, I don't have the answers for you. Sorry. But, like, I trust that you can find that within yourself. So yeah, I think getting better at actually listening and really, really listening to people is critical. Critical.
Totally. Yeah.
Definitely. Hugh, thank you so much.
How do you feel now, having done a podcast? Are you nervous still?
Quite relieved, actually.
Yeah?
I've shared from my heart.
Yeah.
I love
it feels good to share from the heart. I think we need more of that.
Definitely.
I could not agree more. Oh.
So that's a wrap.
No, thank you so much for
thank you,
saying yes and being our first guest on this podcast. It's been really great having you share your wisdom and knowledge with us. And
Thank you.
You're always fantastic to chat to, and just
you.
appreciate your time and your energy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I appreciate the hell out of you, man. You are constantly, you are so open, and you've given me so much support and guidance ever since I met you. So, yeah, appreciate the hell out of you. Thank you.
Real honor. And I want to do more for Be More You.
Yes.
So people can be more you.
Yes! That's how we're ending it. Guys, if you've been tuning into this episode, whether you're watching it or listening to it, we just want to say a massive thank you for being here and sharing this space with us. And yeah, I guess...
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We will see you back here next week. Have an awesome week.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.